Now that Umar Zameer has been acquitted of first-degree murder in relation to the killing of a Toronto police officer, criticism is swirling around whether the case should even have made it that far.
No expert, whether Crown, defense, whomever, could support the Crown's theory that Constable Northrop was standing in front of the car with his hands out and was hit direct on. No one could substantiate that. So I think the Crown failed to reevaluate the case when they ought to have, and I think they did that because there was public pressure, again, because of the nature of this case.
During the trial, 3 Toronto police officers testified that back on July 2nd, 2021, Constable Jeffrey Northrop was standing in the laneway with his hands up when Zameer ran him over with his car. But 2 crash reconstruction experts testified Northrop was knocked down when Zameer reversed out of the parking spot and was already on the ground when he was run over. Video presented at trial supported that version of events, too.
It's important that we establish trust, and it's as I said, in terms of policing or the operations of police.
Mayor Olivia Chow today saying she supports the Chief of Police and Police Service Board to determine whether any officer needs disciplinary action over what they testified.
The Chief and the Police Service has very set policy in place, dealing with officers, dealing with people that may or may not have violated any number of policies. I trust that process. It's really, at the end of the day, up to the chief to manage the police services.
I share the feelings of our members who are hoping for a different outcome.
Sunday's reaction from Toronto's Chief of Police is also catching criticism.
It is somewhat frustrating and embarrassing that we have a chief of police who cannot accept this reality.
Not just from Zameer's lawyer on CBC Radio.
It sends a message to the public that our judges, our juries can't be trusted.
And the president of the Criminal Lawyers Association also thinks the previous chief failed the public.
Don't say things that aren't balanced, that potentially sway public opinion.
We believe this was an intentional and deliberate act.
When it happened, Chief James Raymer condemned Zameer's actions but did not provide other details, like the fact that Zameer was with his wife and toddler that night, saying other details should wait for trial.
It would be nice if the public was made aware of all the circumstances, but the justice is also concerned about making sure that there's a fair and impartial trial.
Zameer's lawyer told CBC Radio's Metro Morning the former chief deliberately bent the public's perception.
The police knew at that time what had actually happened, and they chose to ignore the truth at a time when the police had a monopoly on the public narrative. And at that time, we were receiving hate mail, even death threats for having the audacity to take on this case. And I don't blame those folks. The ignorant folks who sent us those messages, I don't blame them, because that hatred had been stoked by elected officials and by the chief of police himself.
In September of 2021, when Zameer was released on bail, the premier and Toronto's mayor criticized the release, while Brampton's mayor, where Northrop lived, called it disgusting and disturbing. Today, Patrick Brown issued a statement calling the verdict complex, but wouldn't address his previous comments.
It highlights the inappropriateness of having public officials weigh in on bail decisions when they know very little about the case to begin with. And it's part of the same point that I'm making earlier. It creates a great deal of disrespect for the system of justice.
In our sit-down interview with Zameer and his wife today, we asked if he wants any apologies or reviews from politicians or police.
We want to move on from what happened.
We just want them to believe our truth. That's all. To believe what actually happened.
No apology needed, but a hope that the truth will finally take hold. Chris Glover,